Hi, and welcome on Challengers, the podcast by and for the athletes. My name is Nico, and today I have the extreme pleasure to invite on the show Maddie Haynes. Maddie is a professional volleyball player, but also a dear friend of mine. In today's episode, we have the opportunity to discuss topics like sports and personal development, and also what it takes to build a championship team. In fact, this season, Maddie won with Neuchâtel Nuuk 3 major titles. This conversation is super interesting and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did. Have a great day and see you around. Hi, Maddie. How are you? Thank you and welcome on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's nice to see you again.
Exactly. The last time we saw each other, it was a pretty special day. I think you might have become Swiss Volleyball Champions.
Yeah, that was an unreal day, and even just still thinking about it now is like it gives me the chills thinking about it. And in the moment, mentally after that game was over, I was dead.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine because like all the hard work of one season and one career, maybe even sometimes results in like one particular game and trophies and celebration, right?
Agreed, agreed. And the fact that we got all three this season was something that I didn't think I would ever be able to experience. But I mean, with this team, that was obviously like our goal from the start. And then to be able to finish off getting the triple was wow.
Yes, like it must prove it must be such a strong statement of like your superiority as a team, and like your will to win together. Can you explain to the people that maybe don't know like where you play this year and what exactly were these trophies and maybe later we'll also dive in who you are and a little bit more because we know each other a little bit, I would say so. Um,
For
yeah,
sure, for
so.
sure. This year I played for Club Neuchâtel, and we experienced, well, not experienced, but we played in three massive games. One being the Super Cup at the beginning of the year, the next one being the Swiss Cup, and then the final one being the League Cup. And at the beginning of the season, we all had the conversation of like, what is our goal? What are our values? What do we want to achieve as a team this year? And knowing the history of this club, like they're a very winning team, and that's something a big reason why I came to Neuchâtel because I wanted to be a part of this like winning program and to be coached by these coaches and to play with these girls. And once we had those like values talk and communication about like what we need from each other, we just set out and won all three, which was the first one, the Super Cup was against Valero, and that was last year for the girls winning the league and then Valero winning the Super Cup. And then the Super Cup was, I think if anyone has ever seen Swiss volleyball and watched that match, they'll understand that that was the most stressful match ever played for us. That was against Lugano, down two sets. And the environment in there was really just like, wow. Well, it really, like, mentally, that was one of the toughest games I think I've ever been in. But to come out in a five-set game win of that was like determination, mental toughness,
Yes.
physically and mentally, like we were the top team that night. But Lugano played a hell of a match. They did really, really well. Clearly, we were down two sets. And then the final league game was against Dudingen, and we won them. We did a series sweep, which was a really good feeling for us as well, which is also something that's very tough to do. And Dudingen was a very good competitor. They have great pin hitters, middle blockers. I mean, they're just all around. I mean, there's a reason why they're the second team in the league.
Yes.
So we knew it wasn't going to be an easy three games or five games, if that. But to win at home, ooh, to have that feeling of winning at home in front of our crowd, fans, supporters, it was just such a nice feeling. It was like just exactly how we wanted to finish off the season with that third trophy and in front of our home. So it was a great experience.
It was a magical feeling, I would say, as well. I'm not from Neuchâtel, but seeing all the fans coming in and supporting, like, from both teams, and the kind of the kind of, yeah, of atmosphere there was like really impressive. I was with you invited me with, and a friend of mine was also a volleyball player, and she told me I've never seen that many people at a volleyball game in Switzerland. I've never seen such an atmosphere. So, like, congrats to Neuchâtel for that, because it was it for me it was an interesting, very interesting experience.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm also very happy that you're able to come. It was nice to have somebody that I knew in the stands, and I got a hug after the game, so it was nice. It was very nice.
How would you say, what was the reason you had a sweep? How were you better than Dudingen on that series?
Like I said, I think we knew it was just going to be a tough game, but I think that if we're going to play on our top and our best, then there's no way that they can stop us. And something that Lauren always told us before every match was like, at the end of the day, like, it's who's more mentally tough. Because being in situations like that, obviously, like, each team has great physical attributes, like physical players, but you can only swing the ball so hard, and people are obviously going to read you. But if you're mentally tough in that situation of like, okay, you know what, they're targeting me, but I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's just more so if you're just the most, yeah, mentally tough person at the end of the day, you're going to get the win. And I feel like Dudingen really challenged us, but we showed out physically and mentally. And yeah, the series sweep was crazy.
I just remember the end of the last set. Like, you were like 1 point each, and for sure, like, what you're saying on the mental toughness, I think it would be like the definition of mental toughness is playoff finals, the last sets that is going so close to each other. Like, it definitely is about mental toughness. Toughness, I
I
agree.
totally agree with you. And the fact of we knew that that was going to happen. We knew Dunigan wasn't going to give up. And after the game was over, and when we looked at the scoreboard, I remember all of us were like, "No way, the score is 33 to 35 right now." But we knew that was going to happen. We knew. I mean, we didn't know it was going to go to the 30s, but we knew Dunigan was going to put up a fight, and that's exactly what they did. But to be able to just hang on and just continue to fight and give it our all, and just those last few points that needed to be had, I mean, it was just a great feeling, a great feeling.
Tell me about you and how this winner mentality took you as a youngster, and how did you start volleyball? How this athlete that you are today has been built? You know?
Yeah. I think it's a little crazy, my career as a volleyball player. I started when I was very young. I've only been playing for like 13 years. I know it sounds crazy to be saying 13 years, but um, I obviously started off as a middle blocker because I'm 6'4", 194. So I'm a tall girl. So I just always was immediately put into a little box of like,
Hmm.
you're going to be a middle blocker. That's what you're going to do. And I didn't know any better. I was like, sure, why not? At a young age, I think I struggled a lot with being perfect, having this perfect mentality. I was very hard on myself, and I would be lying if I say I'm not like that still today. I think I've gotten a lot better. I think I've learned. Starting off young too, I was struggling a lot with my confidence because I wanted to be so perfect. I wanted to be the specific athlete, get those amazing kills, get those amazing blocks. And I just learned, okay, you have to learn from experience, Maddie. You're young, you're gonna get it, whatever. Um, then I went off, and I also knew at a young age I knew I wanted to play professionally. I knew I wanted to play in college and university. So then at a young age, I committed to the University of California, Berkeley to play volleyball for 4 years and also study. My 4 years in college was a very special experience. I don't think a lot of people have had that experience. I had a new head coach all 4 years at university, and that's really unheard of. I was very tough as a player to figure out the camaraderie, the culture, the coaching styles of each different coach every year. and each coach wanted me as a different position. So I played literally outside, middle, opposite, all three front row player. I mean, I was never in the back row, but I played all three front row attacking positions, and I had that mentality of like, I want to play. I will play any position, just I want to be on the court. So whatever you need me as, I will be in there. Um, but that was what struggled a lot in my development as a player. Again, I was a very raw player.
Mhm.
My when I committed to college, I was committed as a outside, so I eventually switched over from middle to outside. And because I switched so much in college, I never was able to develop like the passing techniques or get the experience of being in
Mhm.
the back row, which was very difficult, as I have seen when I go overseas is very difficult. Um, I think that my experiences playing all three positions has allowed me to have different techniques or be able to put myself in different positions that I didn't think I'd be able to do. And to also just learn under different coaching styles was massive because not every coach is the same and not every coach is going to treat you the same. Um, and I would be lying if I said that was not the hardest 4 years of my life. It was a very hard 4 years on top of doing studies, but I still knew I knew I wanted to play professionally. I'm going to go overseas. I know I'm going to do this. 2020 hit, COVID. So I thought my dream of going pro was going to be suffered for that year, first year, and I didn't think I was going to get a job. But eventually, I had a German team reach out to me, and I was able to come overseas. And wow, first time in Europe was terrible during COVID. I've never been to Europe, and I was like, this is it. This is my dream. It's coming true. And to go into Germany was a cool experience, but everything was locked down. I couldn't even go outside. I had to wear a mask. We didn't get fans at the game. I was the only American. This is my first time like being on a team with different cultures, different languages spoken around me, not English all the time. So that was a big culture shock for me, but I was still like, I'm still playing. I still want to play. After the end of the year, I was like, I still know that I want to play. I have so much in me. But again, I'm still such a raw player. I have not played full six positions until I got overseas, which
Mhm.
really killed my confidence and kind of really hurt me mentally because I was like trying to go back to that perfectionism of like, I know I can play six rotations. I got to prove these German girls or these Swiss girls or whatever that I can do this. And it was really just like I felt like I was hurting my mental self more every day, being like, I don't think this is that I'm worth this. I can't do this. Like I like, am I cut out for this? This has always been my dream. And then I came back home after my first season in Germany, and I still told my mom I want to play. I don't know which team will take me, but I want to play. And then I was offered a position to go into the Swiss League with Shezone, which was a great opportunity. That was exactly what I needed in terms of just playing experience. I just needed to be put in the back row. I have the technique, I have some sort of idea of what I need to do, and I just need to have that playing time experience and that opportunity. The opportunity is what I needed, and
Mhm.
Shezo gave me that opportunity, which I'm very thankful for. And that was a very good season for me personally. I think in terms of confidence, I really stepped into a different role that year, that season specifically. You know, I was seen as like a very top attacking outside, and I was like, see, like I know I can do this. Like I know I can do this. And that really helped me boost my confidence and show me like I have so much more to give and people don't even know. Like I haven't even tapped into my full potential, like which is so crazy. And I'm 25, which is like exciting for me because like I value this sport a lot and this is something I've always wanted to do. And the fact that I have so much more in me that I want to give is like,
Yes.
like cool. So then I knew too going into Switzerland I wanted to play for um, Neuchâtel, and then they offered me at the end of the season, and I am where I am now, which has been amazing. It's been a crazy, crazy experience.
What strikes me in what you're saying is that you really identify like where you're at in your career, and you perceive this excitement of like, I'm capable, like give me the space to execute, and I'm gonna do it. And this is first of all, congratulations for this,
Thank
because
you.
I think it also takes like incredible amount of like sacrifice and hard work to get in that position, right? It's like we see the biggest stars, and we see them like execute and win championships, but sometimes like if you have the expectations on someone, maybe you were mentioning also your size and your abilities, like even with expectations, you need a lot of mental toughness to
Mhm.
actually get there. So I found that really mature and impressive because yeah, now you're in position. Is it also one of the reasons you resigned as well with Neuchâtel? Was it like, hey, they're
Yeah.
giving me the space to execute? Like, is it that? Okay.
Yeah, I definitely, after seeing the transformation that I've had as a person and a player from August to the end of the season, I mean, my confidence boosted. I knew after my season in Shozo, like, okay, my confidence is getting there. And just after this season with Nuke and being able to just, the coaches just took me in and just gave me so many repetitions. We're specifically talking about back row, so many repetitions, so much time, so much video, just so much position put in situations where it's like, okay, well, how can I get myself out of this? Like, if a team, I already knew a team is going to target me, how am I going to get myself out of this? But what I also will have to say, like, yes, that was one of the big reasons I wanted to come back to Noosh was because the coaches are amazing and the program and the supporters and everything that they do at Nuke has been really amazing. But what I have to say that this season I valued the most was the trust and the communication that I had with the girls on the court,
Yeah.
like just the whole team. Because you're not, like, I know sometimes I'll put myself in a position where I'm like, I feel like I'm the only one out there and I'm only like
Mm.
trying to figure it out within myself. But there are 7 other girls currently on the court at the time that I'm like, can just rely on and I can trust and they support me and they have confidence in me. And I think that that helped me a lot with my confidence and my mental because it's like, all right, I'm passing next to this girl who's like, hey, like you got this, like confident. Like I trust in you that like I could just
Yeah.
feel the trust and the aura from her being like, I know you're gonna get that pass. Like I trust you to take that seam. I'm like, yes, because I know that I can, and she knows that I can, and now I know that all 13 of us know that I can. So it's that was a really big thing that I emphasize a lot about this season as well.
Describe to me how yeah, basically describe me to me what does it take in terms of team dynamics to be a championship winning team? Like explaining me the background of that. Yeah.
Yeah, for us specifically, what I noticed is just the trust. Like trusting that I know my teammate can do it, the communication, and the fact of like if I'm gonna go up and rip a ball, I'm gonna trust that I have 3 girls there to cover me who's gonna get it back up if I get blocked. Or if I'm having a tough day passing and they pinched with me, I know that my other outsider, my libero, is gonna be supporting me, being like, I got your seam. So I think for us, we emphasized a lot on like trusting each other and communicating with each other and knowing that we have each other's backs. There's been multiple times in the game that I remember, especially in the final series when I had a couple girls come up to me or be like, "We got your back." Like I'm like, I got your
Oh.
back. You got my back. Let's go. We're a team. Like we can't. Not one person, not 2 people can take a team to the title, but they definitely can make a change in a game for sure.
Yeah.
So say that we're down like 5 points, 2 girls can come up and have major kills or whatever and switch the whole game around. But at the end of the day, it's all 14, 13 of us who are going to get the win because all 13 of us can attribute or apply to the game in a different way that one person can't. If that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And what types of I don't know activities outside of volleyball did you do to like create this kind of environment of trust between you? Was there something specific?
We did have a lot of like team conversations of like really
Okay.
opening up and like explaining what type of players that we are, the type of people that we are, which made us like it's very vulnerable when you're like communicating about stories about yourself in that way. Um, and then I think all of us just really talked a lot with each other and really got along with each other. We hung
Hmm.
out, like we all had different types of personalities, but they all fit in like perfect little ways. Um, and I think it's just we really weren't like a clicky team. I didn't feel like because we all chit chatted with each other every day and communicated. So I think communication is the biggest thing that I can emphasize on, and just having those conversations that are tough to have and so they know what type of players that we are. So yeah, communication.
That's pretty cool. You've played for different coaches. You mentioned all the coaches that were different in university, and now you also had in Germany one, and in Switzerland like two staffs. Like, what makes a great coaching staff for you?
I think what makes a great coaching staff for me is really like the trust and the care that they have in their athletes. Specifically, I'm talking about overseas because that is a 9 month long season.
Mm.
And for some of the foreign players who are coming in from overseas, it's very tough mentally being that far consistently from your family. And physically wise, like I said, 9 month long season of jumping, attacking, shoulder, knees, aches and pains. And I think specifically for this season, Lauren was really, really, really good about emphasizing if you have aches or pains, if something is bothering you, like just take the rest. And I think being sometimes an athlete, especially a professional athlete, speaking personally, it's like, I don't want to take that rest. If I take a day off, like I know I can push myself, like I know I can do this. And having a coach be like, I know you can, but I'd rather you not. And I want you to be smart. I want you to care for your body. And I think that sometimes I grew up a lot being like, I'm going to push myself to the brink of like hurting myself because I know I can do it. And it's like, but at the end of the day, we have to get to a final. And how am I going to feel in a final if I can't even get to the final if I'm going to push myself in just a small
Yeah.
little practice? Um, so specifically for me, this season was really eye-opening and being like, wow, I have a coach who cares about my physical health and my mental health. Like, okay, cool. And I mean, on top of that, she just had great technique. Our practices were very specific focus sometimes and specific situations that I really liked a lot. And yeah,
That's interesting. It's good to remember because I didn't have this in my head, but a winning culture, as you say, is as much about wanting to win as playing the long term game of like being healthy to deliver in the important games. So that's a really cool story and example you gave because it works even for the teams, but also for oneself. You know, like if every day you want that killer mentality that you see in the Michael Jordan series, Netflix series, well, maybe yes, but as well, there's so much risk of injuries and or of breakdown or something like that. So yeah, interesting.
yeah.
What are the activities that you do during your rest? Because 9 months overseas doing volleyball, like is there something that helps you to have joy and bring back focus afterwards on volleyball? Like what do you do?
Yeah, I really tried to get out into the open, into public, because I think sometimes, after tough games or practices, you're just exhausted and all you want to do is just lay in bed all day.
Mhm.
But I think to myself, I'm like, I'm in Europe. Specifically, I'm in Switzerland, one of the most beautiful countries ever.
Nice.
And I have the Swiss Alps right in front of me. Like, I could go out to the water, I could go out to the mountains, I could do whatever. And I really tried to get out and just get in the sun, especially when the sun was out, and just be with my girls, hang out with my teammates. And what I loved about it too, hanging out with them, is like we didn't always talk about volleyball, which was so nice. And I think kind of rare because sometimes I catch myself, we practice 24 hours, not 24 hours a day. That's exaggerating, but we practice, we play, we work together all the time, and it's like sometimes it's like I don't want to talk about volleyball. So that was like a really nice thing for me to just decompress from that and just go out into the nature when I had the time to. Um, and I love coffee, so I would always try to go to like my favorite little coffee shops, get a little cappuccino, try something new. Um, but yeah, really getting outside because my body needs to just see some nature, not just sleep all day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is there is there some injuries that you had to overcome during your career?
Um, okay. Yeah. So specifically talking about university, I think that at a young age, I was never properly shown techniques in terms of like lifting and working out. So I think I discovered a lot of injuries because I'm compensating for different things, you know.
Mm.
And in university, I struggled a lot with like stress fractures in my feet, which I was like, seriously, I literally don't understand how this could happen, blah, blah,
Mm.
blah, whatever. And then overseas, once I got my first year, I had a terrible like knee pain that I've never experienced before. And it would come and go. And I was like, this is so mental. Like, I'm fine. I can figure it out. I'm going to push myself. And I didn't realize what it actually was. And then it was just at the end of the day, it was just obviously compensating and using different muscles and not properly like using the technique that I needed to use. Um, and then this past season, at the beginning of the year, I struggled a lot with like, normal like knee pain. And I had like a little tear in my abdomen at the beginning of season that I was like, seriously, Madeline. So just like little things that are just like aches and pains. It was nothing like massive. But to
Mm.
me, as an athlete, when especially you become professional and this is your job and you're relying on your body and your physical health and mental health, but more so physical at the time. I was like, I can't be taken out of practice. I can't miss this game. I can't miss this practice. I have to work out, whatever. So that just started putting more stress on myself, which was making the process of trying to heal harder, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because I'm so focused on I can't do this, but it's like your body is signaling something to you saying, okay, we'll just take a second. And at the end of the day, I've gotten everything checked out. I'm all healthy, which is really good. So yeah, just struggled with little aches and pains, but all is fine.
That's interesting. Yeah, it relates to like your will for perfectionism that you talked about, but also then the learning of like yeah taking. I mean that's a great thing as an athlete. Like as a young athlete, you understand. Okay, if you want to perform, well, you get to take care of yourself physically, and then
Mhm.
the more you grow, the more you understand also the mental aspect of the game, and okay, you have to take care of yourself mentally, and that's also maybe what you're doing like with walks outside and coffee and going inside your comfort zone. So I would say this is yeah this is pretty interesting and this is definitely something that watching a volleyball game or you think about and you watch the athletes, you know, like that's also the kind of thing you appreciate. Like they're at the top of their game because they're dedicated to one pursuit, but at the
Mhm.
same time they have a way of doing it that allows them to perform, and it's not about like being completely obsessed. It's also about like self care
Mhm.
yeah and maturity. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. Do you have any inspirations from that? Like, were there people, yeah, like you learned from these kind of aspects?
Um, it's a great thing that you asked that because this is a topic I wanted to go on.
Okay.
Um, that, I was like, okay, cool, we're leading to this. I don't know anybody specifically, but when I specifically think back to my career as a volleyball player and the experiences that I had and situations that I was put in, um, I'm really such a huge advocate now of just the importance of mental health in athletes. And I feel like that is something that's very still it's become a lot more open and accepted, but still something that I think a lot of athletes struggle with in coming out and speaking about because, we're athletes, we're supposed to be put in these, stressful situations and supposed to make those game point shots, those kills, those blocks, those whatever. And it's like focusing not so much like it's a struggle not trying to focus on the opinions of other people who come and watch your games and come and
Mhm.
sit there and come to judge you and come to spectate you, and yet they don't even know how to play the game, they just come to watch. But say the game didn't go the way that it was supposed to go, then they can immediately go on social media or come up to you after a game and be like, well, what the heck happened? Well, why couldn't you do this? Well, why couldn't you do that? And I feel like it's something that I struggled a lot, specifically talking about myself, when, like we mentioned before, we have those expectations that we put on ourselves or that people expect of us. And if you're not exceeding those expectations, then it's like, I'm not the player that I'm supposed to be, or can I even do this? And
Yeah.
so university was something, like I said, was the hardest 4 years that I ever experienced, is especially mentally. I thought that, like this is the breaking point. Like I think I have to be done with volleyball. But I was like, I still had that voice in my head. It's like, you know what, you are so much better than where you are right now. Like, you know, there's so much more that you can give in yourself. And then my senior year, we were introduced to a sports psychologist, and that changed my whole game my senior year. And I feel like because my first 3 years in university was kind of like, we don't talk about your mental health. Like, we don't see therapists. Like, that's a little, you know?
Yeah,
And I'm not
yeah,
saying that, like, I'm just saying that in that time was like kind of like taboo, I feel like, in a way. I'm going to say it like
mhm,
that. And when we were introduced to our sports psychologist, I was like, wow, like I'm handed tools. I can speak about situations in games, or how my stress or my anxiety or my panic
yeah,
attacks, or et cetera, before a game. And like, this is normal. Like, I thought like, oh my gosh, then all of this that I'm experiencing is not normal. And the fact that I'm having somebody validate my feelings and say like, it's okay, like, you are human, you're fine, like, this is what people experience. And it's like,
mm,
I was so used to just masking that and being like, I'm fine, like, become a robot, like, I'm good,
yeah.
don't notice anything. And to have that really opened my eyes, and I was just like, you know what, this is more important. Like, mental health is so important, and just not just athletes, but everybody. So I'm a huge advocate of that now.
Yeah,
Huge.
that's pretty cool. And I guess this makes me think. I don't know why. When you were talking about this, it made me think about Ted Lasso. Did you see
Mhm.
the series?
I
And
love
you
that
know,
stuff.
I love it's incredible. Yeah, for athletes, I mean, if you don't know, it's like just watch because it was what you say. Like at some points, they're introduced to a sports psychologist, if I recall well, and everybody's like, "What?" etc. And like in the last season, in the current episodes, like they're also talking about mental health, and I think it's a really important, yeah, discussion and an open topic because uh, athletes we're like, yeah, I don't know, like we're taught like, yeah, if there's pain or if you fall, like you have to get back up, you have to get back up, and you have to don't show your feelings, and there's so much sacrifice. But as you just said, like if you are allowed to express yourself entirely and open up about any topic, well, you you can thereafter like express yourself more on the field as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think a big moment that I remember was when Simone Biles like stepped away from competition in the Olympic Games. And so many people took
Exactly.
to the internet, and so many people took to comments being like, she doesn't know the opportunity she's giving up. She just took a spot away from people. It's like, but you don't know what more is going on in that athlete's head or that person's mind, or what's
Mm,
affecting them more. Like, it's going to hurt her or hurt the person more to try and compete under that pressure if they're not mentally in a good space. Because
mm,
it, like, your mind is so strong and so powerful that I think, so for me specifically, I was like, when I was able to be in a right mental space in a game, I was like, or just speaking to myself in a like a healthy mental way, I was
yeah.
like, wow, like, this really does change my game. And I can even see in practices sometimes if I'm getting hard on myself, I'm like, I don't, like, I'm not gonna get this, like, I'm gonna miss this pass, I'm not strong enough, whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's gonna have effect on my game because I'm already negatively telling myself these thoughts, then it's already
Mhm.
happening. And if I'm positively speaking myself in a manner where it's like, I got this, or like, I know my teammates know I got this, or the way my teammates are positively speaking to me or my coaches or whatever. And I'm not saying that there's going to be a perfect day all the time where everything's going to flow perfectly and I'm whatever, I mentally am healthy all the time, because nobody's perfect. You're human. Like, you're going to go through things every day. And I think that when I was introduced to the sports psychologist and told me that this is normal, you're human, people experience this all the time, and being able to validate my emotions and my feelings, I was like, wow, like, I'm learning more about myself. I'm healing myself. I'm figuring it out. And yeah, like, that was a massive thing this season too that I wanted to focus on was I am on like a self-growth healing journey. Like,
Mhm.
it is tough. I'm by myself, I'm alone, but how can I better myself when I am feeling like these moments? And yeah, so that was a big thing for me this season.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
It's intense. We're gonna make a small break because these are
Yeah,
such
no,
important topics.
I know, it really is. And I was like, do I want to go into it? And I was like, well, it was something that was like very important in my journey that,
Yes.
yeah, that I haven't heard a lot about. I mean, that was like, fairly, because it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. So I was like, yeah, like perfect timing to talk about it.
Yeah. And I guess when you're a younger player and you see older players that are talking about that, like I think it's inspiring as well because
Mhm.
like you're like oh they really focus on that and I can't imagine myself if at like 13, 12, 13 years old I was already like thinking about it that yeah that would be incredible.
Yeah, and like I hear from some players too. It was so random. I ran into somebody when I went out this past weekend with a friend, and she was like,
Yeah.
"I used to play volleyball, but I stopped because I had that one coach that like ruined the experience for me." I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's crazy! You have one coach to ruin the whole game for you, your
Yeah.
whole career." So
Yeah.
unfortunate.
And it's funny you mentioned that because there's I have plenty of examples as well in the professional world where people like have these like this crazy dream and they talk to me about it and they have like these stars in their eyes and you see that hey, it's gonna be super hard to get there, but
Hmm.
it's totally worth it to go
Yeah.
and these people like you're just inspired yourself when you listen to these stories, you know, and to think and that's unfortunately there's other people that's like learn about that and they're like no you're not gonna do it or it's impossible and they shut these people down.
Mhm.
It's really dangerous and unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always tried to tell people like I don't regret a lot in life, and you shouldn't regret anything in life because I feel that everything is a lesson or an experience. And I told myself, and I was talking about this story actually just recently with a friend about
Mhm.
just like, my career in volleyball. She was like, but are you regretful of like, going through that experience? And I was like, actually, no. Like, I think going through that experience in those situations has made me the person that I am today. Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to, of course, now when I think back, I'm like, why didn't I advocate for myself better then? But it's like, but that was then. You learn from that experience, you learn from that situation. But look at you now, and
Yeah.
look what you're experienced now, and all of the stuff that you get to achieve now because of what happened then. So yeah.
And with this growth mindset, I think like observing this growth mindset that you have, like it gives you hope for the future, but also like it gives such a strong like sense of yourself, you know, like you're comparing yourself with who you were yesterday, like 1 month ago, like last year's 5 years ago, and you're
Mhm.
like, what incredible path have I gone through? Like what incredible adventure,
Yeah, yeah,
and I yeah, that's a comforting feeling, I would say.
yeah, I agree.
Sure.
I totally agree. I'm like, wow, 13-year-old Maddie versus 25-year-old Maddie. Look at you, girl. Look at you go. Who knew? I mean, I knew I wanted to play pro, but who knew I'd be here?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And then it's like kind of fear of like chance and seizing the opportunities. And
Mhm. For
um,
sure.
I have a memory of like your brother also being into sports. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
brother is a junior at University of Sac State,
Mhm.
and he is a pitcher in baseball.
He's younger than you, right?
Yeah, he is 20.
Okay.
Yes. Whoa, sorry. Yeah, 20 years old.
They grow so fast. No.
20?
And how has your relationship been like both of you being into sports? Like did you have some conversations about that?
Yeah, I love it. So me and all my siblings played sports, but me and my brother Kevin are the ones who still currently play,
Mhm.
and we're very much alike. Very much alike in the
Okay.
aspect of like competitiveness and perfectionism.
Mm.
And I told him specifically now, when I think back to when I was his age and the situation that I was in, um, I just said, advocate for yourself, buddy. Like compete, like know what you're feeling now is not what you're going to feel in just a couple years. Like this
Mm.
game isn't going to, you know, be the deciding factor of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And, like he tells me all the time, which is really nice to hear as a sister, is like that I inspire him or that he looks up to me or I'm his role model. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to put tears in my eyes. Cause like I'm very close with my siblings and to have like
Yes.
him just tell me that, especially in like a sports aspect is like
Yeah.
Oh, I love my brothers. I love my brothers. I love my sister, and you know, I support him, and I want him to be like, because like there's so much I see in him. I'm like, I see so much in you, and I know people said that to me. Like, I see like the potential in you, and it's like, I know you can see that in yourself. Just have that confidence, and I know he does. I know he does. So I just tell him like, have that confidence, be physically and mentally like in the right mindset. So it's fun. It's fun
That's
to have conversations with him.
that's so cool. Like you're the empowering older sister, like liberating him as well, right? Because you're
Yeah,
like, hey, no pressure. Like you're gonna do great, and I
yeah,
love you for who you are, and not just for like for the for the sports
yeah.
activities. I remember that I actually have a story about that. I was pretty stressed about one exam session I had two years ago. I think it was during COVID, and I was so down because I never failed anything in my life, and I was so afraid of making a mistake.
Hmm.
And I called one of my grandpas, and I told him about it, and he was like, "Nico, like, um, how did he say it exactly?" So he told me like you're so passionate about sports and you live close to the Olympic committee and you know about Pierre de Coubertin. I don't know if you know about him that he's the founder of the modern Olympic movement.
Oh
So
my gosh.
he's a French guy exposed at the Olympic Museum and he basically understood the power of sports like to build a world for peace and advocating like sport activities for the population and one of his famous sentences like the important part is not to win but to participate
Hmm.
and and this can be seen as for people like no this is not a good sentence because if you're a loser you're not a winner etc but in a way like it also helps you to win because what he explained to me was hey you're gonna do like what you can do at this exam session but you know you're just like gonna give your best given this situation given covid given the fact that you don't feel prepared enough for these exams and then he told me like but most important of all while you're focused on this exam session, you have to remind yourself that this mistake or this part of your life is not you as a whole. Like it's not gonna change the it's not gonna change the love from your family or your friends. It's not gonna change like the whole roads that you got for
Yeah.
yourself before that. And him reminding me of that at such an important moment, like impacted me a lot because I could always think about that and like give your best, but also like the important part is to try. It's not
Mhm.
just to win. And so like I completely relate to that
Yeah.
to the story you just shared. So that's pretty cool.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And like, I totally agree with that because in university, when I was in the middle of finals and then also trying to like compete on the court, I was like, I literally, if I can't fail this test because then I'm not going to do good in the gym,
Yeah.
whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, it's just a test or it's just a game. Like if I'm in the right space, like I'm going to be fine. And this is not going to define the person that I am. Volleyball is not my identity. It is the sport that I play and it is something that I get paid for doing, but like it's not who I am. I'm more than just volleyball Maddie. There's so much more that people who don't know me or who
Yeah.
do know me, that there's more about me than just that. So I try to make that also a thing where it's like I don't want to just identify with my sport. Like there,
Mhm.
and I feel like a lot of athletes, sometimes are like, this is me, this is who I am. There's nothing more to that. And that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. That's who you want to like be seen as. But I try to be like, yeah, like I play professional volleyball, but I also studied this in college and I also really am passionate about this and I really close to my family, blah blah blah, whatever. So yeah.
And maybe one reason why they identify only as athletes is if they're really good at what they're doing, like imagine at Berkeley, there's this, I don't know, this first overall projected pick for football or hockey. And he's like, oh yeah, like if all the people like judge me on my hockey skills, I'm the
Mhm,
best person in the world. And so maybe then they're just trapped inside that. But what
mhm,
happens if they get injured and they don't play anymore? Or what happens if when they go in the big leagues, they're not the best anymore? They would
mhm,
have not learned the resilience to then accept that, but still try to work better because they're like, oh, my identity as the best is broken. Like, what am I doing? And I feel also like when you change your career and you stop. I mean, I was a hockey player. I transitioned to being a referee, and being first defined as a hockey player was incredible. Like everyone was interested in like, oh, you're the captain, oh, you're the okay, yes, but then things change and you have to do other things, and so so it's dangerous to put yourself inside a box, inside
Yeah.
only one box.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that where you said like, well, what if one day you get injured? And I feel like when I was in university and I struggled with all just like those stress fractures in my feet, that was just I felt like it was every spring season that I was like, oh my God, I'm injured now. This is affecting me as a person because I'm not playing on the
Yeah,
court. And then it just really affected my whole personality because I was like, this is what I do. This is why I'm here. I mean, at the time, I was like, I'm there for more than just volleyball. I'm there for school. But like, it volleyball was such a big part of my life that it started affecting other parts of my life. And I was like, I can't get into that space again. I can't get to that energy where it's like, this is my end all be all. And I do know it will be very difficult for the day when it comes where it's like, I'm going to be done with volleyball. But I've always told myself, like, I know I'm not going to play volleyball forever. I know I'm going to have to get an education. I know I'm going to go back to school eventually once I'm done with volleyball. But as for right now, I'm going to enjoy the moment. I'm not going to identify with it and say that this is everything, this is my end all be all, whatever. But I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be able to travel. I'm going to be able to meet all these different type of people. But when it comes to the end, it will be tough. It will be tough. But I'll know I'll make the right decision when it is time to end.
that's pretty cool. I never asked you what you studied at Berkeley.
Yeah,
Is that crazy? Why did you...
no problem. I studied history at Berkeley. And a lot of people say like, "Oh, history? Why history?" And I knew in high school that was like a topic that I really enjoyed. And then I
Okay.
went to college and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to study. And I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed history. I loved the history department at Berkeley. They were amazing. They were very, very amazing, very supportive. And that was very tough finding that at Berkeley with the professors and then also being an
Uh,
athlete. So I loved that department. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take that year when I go pro and I'm going to figure out if I want to go into law, go to law school. And I
mm,
wanted to try to figure out which law I wanted to study. Very, very inspiring, Maddie. And then I realized, okay, you know what? I want to find something that I'm passionate about. And I am passionate about law, but like not to the point where it's like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And I want to go to school after it. And that was like a big point for me. And I was like, wow, like I figured that out and learned about myself that I didn't want to do that. And then I was having conversations with friends and family, and they're like, wow, you sound really passionate about like wanting to advocate and work with athletes. So I knew I want to be in the athletic realm still. I knew like when I'm done, I want to work with athletes. I thought, okay, then I'll work into sports marketing. I'll work with Adidas,
yes.
Nike, whatever big sports name brand. And then I was like, there's more. Like I want to be with the athletes. I want to,
Mm.
experience like be there and advocate for them and help them in a different way. And I realized like, oh my gosh, I want to try and go back to school and become a sports psychologist. So that is something that I'm like planning on doing.
Cool.
Fingers crossed, yeah, when I'm done with volleyball, go back and get my master's and
Mhm.
work that way. So that is something that I'm like excited about and still exploring. So yeah, it was cool.
That's exciting. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool. Because you told me about like the Nike and the marketing and advocating for players, and then like this thought about psychology suits you pretty well. I
oh,
would have
thank
to
you.
I have
Yeah,
to say that. Yeah,
thank you.
that's pretty cool. And I
Yeah.
guess history is also important in psychology, and like you've grown so much with sports. Yeah, that's definitely a good choice. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
cool. I was like, okay, I'm gonna use that Berkeley degree. I'm gonna use those 4 years of hell. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. You gave a shout out to the history department of Berkeley, so you don't have any problem. It's okay.
I loved them. I loved, loved, loved them. They're great.
Because you have to balance. Like here, you're in a position where you're only focused on volleyball, and then you accompany you do the rest of on the side. But it's true that like the position, I mean, for example, at the moment with refereeing and the bachelor's that I'm ending in management and the podcast, like it's a lot too. I cannot say no because, as you said before, like you said, like for law school, it was not a yes or a hell yes. And so
Mhm.
you decided it was a no. But right now, like all the things I'm doing and the masters that I'm planning to do is are
Mhm.
completely like hell yes decisions. And so
Yeah.
I have the strength and I'm finding the time and I have the passion. So yeah, I would say that's a pretty cool feeling to have when you have these hell yes moments as you just did with psychology and this idea will take the space to grow and I wish you only the best for that side.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point about like balance. It's very hard finding that balance of,
Yeah.
personal life, sports life, academic life. And for me, when in university, I graduated high school early, so I even went to Berkeley a semester early, and I was 17 years old at a 4-year university that I was like, I one of the number one public schools in the world, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, my social life, going out, not having my parents living with me, and I'm making my own food. I'm on a sports team. I'm trying to balance like 5 classes now, like 5 really hard classes, and I'm like, and then on top of that, I was like, I want to get a job. I'm gonna earn my own money and go work. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm pushing myself to the point of like, I don't even know who I am. I can't even balance all of this stuff. And so that was tough. And I even hear now the girls on my team, they were like they were in the middle of their finals and their tests and stuff. And I was like, damn, I cannot believe I went through that for 4 years too. Like, I can't even think of it now, like how I was that now. But whoo, crazy.
Good luck to everyone that is doing these kind of things. Like we fear you, we support
Yeah,
you, and you're
yeah,
gonna do great.
very tough.
In another life, if you didn't have volleyball, what would you do? Like, what do you
Wow.
think your life would have looked like? I don't know. I had this inspiration as a question right now. I'm
Really good
interested.
question. If I'm being quite honest, if I wasn't playing volleyball, I know I'd be playing a different sport, and it would probably be basketball.
Okay.
Um, that was like the one sport I grew up playing before I started playing volleyball. I started playing volleyball when I was 12, and but the whole time I was like, I'm gonna go to basketball. I'm gonna go to university for basketball. That's what I'm
Okay.
doing. And then I remember an instance where I had like an altercation with a girl and she like tripped me and I fell and I was like, no, I'm not playing this anymore. It's like, I don't like this. I don't like the physical game of this basketball.
Approach.
So I was like, I'm gonna
You're
put a
the
net between us. Let me put it like that. I'm gonna have my team with me. Yeah. Hey, we're good. I'm gonna put a net up. We're fine.
yeah.
So I think I definitely would be playing basketball and being pro at it, I think.
Of course, you will be pro at it. Like that's not even a doubt.
Like, I want to get paid for the sport that I play. I want to do that so bad. So then I was like, yeah, I'd do that.
And this is such an inspiration for the people that watch your games as well. Like uh, as a referee, like it's my dream job. Like I basically don't understand why I'm paid for that. Sometimes I do because spectators kind of boo at you and
Yeah,
there's a
that's
lot of
tough.
time sacrifice, you know.
Other
But
people.
yeah, but at the same time, like I have so much fun doing it. Like there's like the colleagues are also friends. Like you just have to think all the time. Like, okay, how do I put these athletes back in the game, etc. So yeah, at the end, it's a profession, but it's also a passion. And so I wish like younger people or older people would be like, yeah, I want to do that too. Not everyone is in this position, but if you have the opportunity to do that, like yeah, it's the best feeling in the world. Yeah,
Oh, I
honestly.
agree. Like having those moments, and especially for you, I'm sure you can relate, is like those final games, like those final games that you have to ref, and it's like
Yeah,
the atmosphere, the energy, the crowd, the players like chirping at you, the crowd chirping at you, booing, like you said. It's like God, like crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy. The energy, the atmosphere. And then sometimes I'm like, no, this is why I play. This is why I play sports because of this energy, the atmosphere. And then on top of that, winning. I mean, winning is a very crazy feeling.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I think every athlete can agree. You can also agree to that. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I said, the finals this year with the energy and like you said, the atmosphere that you guys experienced, like
Yeah.
not seeing that many people at a game before. I have never experienced that. Oh, it's crazy. It's so crazy. I get chills. I get chills thinking about it.
Um, what's your relationship to the referees? I'm gonna be straight on it. I hope you're nice to them. I
Yeah.
don't know if you're nice to them, but
Okay.
being one, I have to ask.
Okay. I am nice. I think afterwards I'm nice.
Hmm.
In the heat of the game, it's just you just have those moments where it's like, what are you watching? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? I thought we were
Yeah.
together here. Whatever. Uh, I thought we were working together here. No, I think in the heat of the moment I get really like chirpy and I'll start saying stuff like serious, like I'll look at him like how far out was the ball if you're gonna call the ball out. And I know I'm not supposed to do that. I know I'm not. I just the heat of the moment, but I always try to make sure after the games I'll apologize and they always are
Mhm.
understanding. They're like, hey, we get it. Like we were
Yes.
athletes before as well. Like we know the pressure of the game and I'm like, I know, but I really do want to apologize. I do. That's not how I'm supposed to act. Um, so I try to make a good relationship with them. So I don't want them to see me
Wow.
and be like, oh, we have a problem player here. Number 4, Haynes is the one who's going to yell at us. Like I don't want to be that person.
Wow, that's good. Thank you so much for being like that. On behalf of the volleyball referees, like that's pretty nice. No, and we're such in a different position. Like as you said, like winning, like what a feeling, right? Like I was younger, and people would like friends would remind me that I totally forgot, and they would make a little bit fun of me, but I would cry in the locker room if I lost a game, random game in the championship, and I
Mhm.
was there like fuck, I was,
Oh,
yeah, I cannot cry on command, so I cannot do it. I cannot simulate it, but
sorry.
it's it was like I think they told me it was even almost ridiculous. They were a bit sorry for me, like like just calm down. There's another game later, and so but then when you won, like oh,
Hmm. It's unreal. It's like
it's unreal.
it's like I can't even explain the feeling. It's just like
It's
wow, those hard works, all those months, all those practices, all those film
yeah.
sessions, everything leading up to the moment that we worked for to then win it all. Oh my gosh, crazy! And then to get also it was such a cool feeling because Neuchâtel is like a smaller city, but the day after the game, we were walking around, obviously wearing a little Nuke jacket. And I
Always.
mean, you can't miss us either. We're also like the tallest people. So it was great. But they were like, like, congratulations, like, really, bravo, bravo, like, good match. And I was like, wow, thank you. Like,
Mhm.
super cool. I think it'd be
Yes.
different if we lost. I think people would be saying otherwise or not even say anything. But, like, wow, it's such a great experience to be recognized and, like, respected in that way. So, I mean, we put the hard work in, we've worked our asses off. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's deserving.
Of course. And in Switzerland, like this is a really a specificity, in my opinion, that is translated in volleyball, but also in hockey or soccer or other sports. It's like these villages or these cities like competing against one another. But it's so there's this kind of competition, but even if everyone like is proud and like has this sense of being Swiss, it's also like like oh there's my region and these are like my girls or these are my boys like they make honor to the city and so I would say like yeah this is a great thing because like when you have the Nuke jersey or the Chazot jersey or the Berkeley jersey like you're representing like an organization you're representing a culture and fans and so I would say like for that sport is amazing because it
Wow.
unifies a city, but also like yeah, there's a team against another, like one has to win, one has to lose.
Mhm.
And so in the end, like hey, good fights, you gave your best and we appreciate you for that.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I love athletes. I love it. I love going to other games. I love supporting other athletes. I love playing my game. And getting to experience and travel the world is unreal. It's unreal.
mhm.
So I love it.
I'm gonna be eager to see your motivation on the field later next season.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And I'm so happy that we were able to talk about all of this, especially being mental Health Awareness Month and being able to tap into that topic a little bit, and everything that we talked about, I think I loved. I loved it all. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you for coming.